Present.
We have a full board present and definitely a quorum. We begin with matters from the public. We're gonna do things a little bit differently. We have a public hearing on the budget, which we have not gone into yet. That will have to happen afterwards. And, but we do still wanna allow a public input for non-budget related items. So we're going to begin with that. If I call your name and you would like to reserve your time until the budget hearing, we'll just tell me and we'll skip on to the next. What we're also going to do is we're gonna go back to our typical format, which is public input. You will have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak, and we will have that occur, and I would ask the board, and if you have questions, I would ask you to wait until all of the public input is complete, and if at that time the board wishes to answer any questions that were presented or make any statements, to wait until after the public input and before we go into our public hearing. I would just recommend make some notes so that you can answer any questions, be fresh in your mind when it's done. If there's no questions, let's move on. The first person listed is Dan Hagan.
Hi, Dan Hagan with the Homer Stallions. This is the packet for the usage packet for this year. I just want to turn that in. It is minus the insurance. Our insurance actually renews right now.
Yes, we can.
I'll have it, I think, by the end of this week, and then I'll forward you that. Now, I was reading over the agenda for tonight with the windows and talking to a consultant. I mean, those windows are 19 years old. They were never maintained. They're cheap windows. To get 19 years out of a window, now we're gonna hire a consultant to tell us what to do? I mean, isn't 19 years pretty good out of a window? My question?
We're gonna wait until after all the public input, and then if anybody would like to.
I just think it's a tremendous waste of money to hire someone to come in, look at a building and say, yeah, it needs new windows, when it's pretty obvious, I mean, it needs new windows. So that's all I got to say.
Okay, very good, thank you. Jennifer, is it Consolino?
Consolino. My questions are mostly like budget related, so I can wait until the end with most of them. The only other one is, do we have any status yet on the videotaping?
We will get to that.
Okay.
In the order of the agenda. And then, I'm sorry, Christine, is it, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Trolls.
Trolls. Christine Trolls
I'd like to reserve my time.
for the budget?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'm sorry, I can't read it, Jack. Oh, sorry, I didn't. You kind of went in a straight line on me, I'm sorry.
I got a question on the budget, but when we get to that point, are you saying we're each gonna only have 3 minutes to ask questions?
No, I'm talking about our typical public input is 3 minutes. Maureen Diogardi? Diogardi, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm gonna reserve my time till the budget.
Okay. And Steve Gallage.
I'm just here, because I know we didn't get anybody to videotape, and I actually paid this gentleman over there, because I didn't know Mr. Spooner was gonna come, because I wanna know what's going on here. And I think it's a shame that you keep putting it off, that you don't wanna video it. And then, Regina Robinson didn't make it here, so, one of the things that she wanted to ask is, why is it that the township pays money for like the honey bears and face painters and entertainers to walk in the parade when, John, her husband, brings the trucks every year, and then this year, he's required to have insurance, it's a volunteer group. They don't have money for that. They're actually paying a lot of money for the diesel to get them trucks there. And so she's very upset about it, and I don't blame her. They've been in the parade for a number of years. Yet we pay other people outside of the town big money, because I got the list of how much money, it's a lot of money we're paying out to walk in the parade. And then they can't be in the parade, so it kind of frustrates me.
All right, well, I have nobody else listed. Does anybody from the board wish to address any of the previous comments? I will, make an attempt, Dan, to answer your questions about the windows. It is my understanding from the professionals that we were seeking proposals. It is the board's practice, to try to get at a minimum of 3 proposals for projects. And, we have, 2 professionals who have indicated to us that the problem with the windows, I'm sure it is in part that they're old, but is more so the problem with the building. And you know that there is a huge amount of moisture and spalling on all of the walls. The brick is becoming very soft. And the recommendation to simply replace the windows is against what they believe. They believe that the moisture problems need to be investigated and solved first before we would go ahead and put perfectly good windows back into problematic. What I've been told is there were some faulty construction, in their opinion, and they're not structural engineers. There was some faulty construction with the building. The limestone ledges are tilted inward so that it's possible that water's getting in between the walls, things like that. Without being professionals, they have recommended that we get a structural engineer, and that is further on the agenda.
Is there any kind of time frame on that?
To be discussed. Well, the board has to approve it. It's on the agenda later tonight to be approved.
I mean, at this rate, we can pretty much assume it won't be fixed by season, correct?
I cannot assume anything. All I can tell you is what I know, and that the board has to approve whether or not they wish to have a structural engineer who will then assess the building and tell us
Will that be
how to
voted on
proceed.
tonight?
Pardon me?
That'll be voted on tonight?
That will be voted on tonight. Regarding Steve, your statement of John Robinson and Regina Robinson, it is not new that the insurance is being required. I actually have spoken to John, and we have offered to pay the club. He tells me they're a part of a club, and that the club does not wish to pay their insurer is gonna charge them about $100 for, well, you have interrupted me, so I will answer as I have been answering. So, I have spoken to John on the phone. I believe Steve had brought that you're upset about your husband not being paid or whatever. I'm not sure exactly, but I want to answer. There is an agenda. Okay, well, we have completed that part, but hold on just 1 second and let me finish what Steve had brought an issue up on your behalf, and I am trying to answer it. I have spoken to John. John has informed us that the military vehicles are a part of the a club they belong to, that the club does not wish to pay the approximate $100 for the additional insurance that the township and the township's insurer requires of everybody, and especially where there is large equipment like the military vehicles, where there could be some, I mean, my God, we hope, but brakes could go out, things could happen. But regardless, I did talk to John and offered to pay the club for the insurance, and he is supposed to be getting back to me. I'm waiting to hear from him.
Okay, what about the videotaping?
Well, we haven't gotten to the videotaping yet, but I am going to give a report on it. Okay.
So can I talk, or do I have to sign in, or what? Is my
Regina, I'll
question-
have you sign in, but if you would like to talk, is the board okay with Regina?
I'm fine. Sure.
Thank you. You want me to sign in?
You can sign in afterwards, go ahead.
Okay. That's my
No, I mean, you can speak if you wish, and then I'll just have you sign in afterwards if you'd like.
She's allowing you to speak.
Would you like to speak?
It's, okay, I didn't know if you were on your agenda. Why after, I think they've been in the parade 3 years now, is your insurance company finally catching up to the fact that the township needs to be insured all of a sudden?
Is that your only statement? Because we're allowing people to speak, and then we're not gonna have cross-examinations and stuff. We're just gonna try to answer your questions, if you have one.
And since 74% of our tax bill approximately goes towards schools, why is it that we can never get the high school band to come and be in the parade? Is it because they're not asked in enough time to be put on their schedule? Is it because they're never asked to be in the parade? Like every other town has their schools, bands in the parade. To me, a parade, a huge part of it is the bands. It brings the spirit of the community to the street and makes it alive. And we never have the school marching bands in the parade. And the military club participates, and I know you've already heard this. The military clubs participate in many parades throughout the year, especially during the summer, including the city of Chicago, many other towns. And actually, some of the towns make a donation to the club for participation. They have never, in all the years that we've participated in parades, been asked for an insurance policy indemnifying that village, town, or a group, whatever. And they have the VFW guys in their trucks, Boy Scouts, USO people, and it's never been an issue with anybody, any place for I can't tell you how many years. So, that's all.
Okay, all right, so the first part of your question, I'm just trying to get it all straight. Well, let me deal with the high school band. The high school band has been asked on several occasions for many years, and we actually have had them participate. I believe it was not last year, but the year before. That took a lot of pressure. It certainly wasn't because they weren't asked way in advance. They were participating in the Lockport Parade and other parades. And actually it took a group of our residents and some of our officials to contact the school board and ask for the band to be a part of our parade as well, since probably 60 to 70% of the students at Lockport Township High School are from Homer Township. So they have participated. What they agreed to do with us is they will do 1 year at Homer Township, another year at Lockport Township, another year at Homer Township, so they're alternating. And this year is their year to do it, and they are, to the best of my knowledge, going to be in the lineup. Regarding the insurance, I can only tell you, I don't know about other cities. I don't know what their insurance is. I can tell you that there are all different types of insurances. Perhaps the city of Chicago, I can speculate and tell you perhaps the city of Chicago has a insurance policy strictly for the parade. Maybe they're not in a risk management association like we are. But we are in a risk management association, and I did actually have a meeting with staff and a conference call with our insurer to make sure, I believe that was last week, to make sure that we were not misunderstanding everything and that we were doing what was recommended. We don't require walkers and, certain people to have the additional insurance, but there are some that do. It is my understanding, and I can only speak from what your husband told me, a previous official that worked with him, they hadn't really put in applications to participate in the parade, and I don't know why or what the circumstances of their insurance in the past. However, we have had insurance with other entities. When we posed to our insurer the question of why we're the only one, at least that's what we were being told, why we're the only entity that is requiring that, they disagreed. And they said, in fact, that they provide additional insurance for many other townships so that they may participate in parades. They are then the additional insured. So again, that's kind of my quick answer to all that I know about the insurance. And all I can tell you is that we enlist professionals like our insurers and our attorneys and stuff. They advise us, and we do our best to try and follow the advice. I think it would be negligent for us not to follow that advice. I did speak with John. I don't know if John shared that with you. I believe it was last week, and I offered to for the club, insurance, the additional insured. We did offer to pay the approximate $100 that, he indicated that it would cost, and he told me he would get back to me. So, let us move on to the next phase of the meeting, which would be our public hearing. I would request a motion for that, for the budget.
I'll make that motion.
So we have a motion to go into public hearing, for the Homer Township Road District and Homer Township Budget and Appropriation Ordinances for fiscal year 2019 and 2019 through 20. Is there a second to that motion? Okay, so we have a motion by Taylor, a second by Oakford. At this time, we are now in the official public hearing, and I will now open up the floor to those that wish to wait until the budget public hearing. So we have Jennifer.
Okay, so I just have a few questions. They don't have to be elaborate. I wanted to kind of have an idea of where we could find the information for how many paid positions we have within the township for each personnel category in the budget.
Well, you wouldn't find that in the budget. You would like to, let me see.
Well, where would I find it? That's all.
Okay, so you would like to know how many paid employees the
Yes.
township has? Well, we do have records, miscellaneous records that would keep that. We
So the
also
only way I
have
could get that is through a FOIA?
Excuse me?
Only way I could get that is through a FOIA then?
No, we actually post the information in our office and stuff too. It's not, top secret information.
Okay.
The Better Government Association posted on their website. It's very public information.
Is Sandra Park the only grant that we've ever requested in the past few years, or are there others?
Well, in the past few years is a relative question. It is one of the current grants that we have. We've explored others. We've received other grants. We have received a grant from the Department of Natural Resources for the Trantina.
Anything for like no, I mean like in the, like last year or this upcoming year?
We don't have any at this time other than that one grant, and we do have to administer it. And I'm just gonna stick with the budget on this stuff. With the 15,000 that we've earmarked for the upcoming year for the parade, what kind of stuff does that cost entail? What do you mean, what kind of stuff?
What kind of stuff does it? What kind of costs? Like what do we need 15,000 for the parade?
Well, we do hire performers for the parade. Most of it goes towards that, yeah.
Okay, and then with the Halloween party that we spent 5,000 on the past few years, is that what we do at the library?
No, and to be honest with you, just because it's a budget doesn't say that's what we spent or that we intend to spend. We budget a allotment of money to try and cover anticipated expenses. It would be up to the board to decide whether they wanted to do their own or whether they wanted to do as they did last year and join in with but we did pay for the character performers at the library Halloween party and other miscellaneous advertising and things like that, and that is also a part of the parade budget, is we do have to advertise.
How much does the advertisement usually cost?
I don't honestly know off the top of my head for that particular expenditure.
Or the signage?
No, for ads in the newspaper and whatever methods are used to advertise the events.
Okay, that's all.
Mr. Fleming?
In the open space fund, there's $919,000 in the account as of April 1st. 2 years ago, it was 980,000. Last year it was 940,000. How did we accumulate all that money? That's a big number.
Yes. Well, from my understanding of what some of the money, it's come from multiple sources. I know we've talked about this when you've attended the open space meetings before too, Mr. Fleming. Part of it is leftover, a small amount is left over from the bond. Some of it is from a cooperative agreement that we had. Originally, the $8 million bond was used to purchase all of the properties. So you're right, that is a large amount of money. Some of it was from, an agreement we had whereby, the area that is the shopping mall at, where the village used to have their offices, about 147th and Bell, that property was carved out of the open space parcel, sold, and the proceeds were distributed back into the open space programming fund. Fundraising, farm leases, rental unit, that's where the income is generated.
So what's the game plan for open space? $900,000 is a big number, at 3 times than what you have in the park. What are you gonna do with that?
So the open space fund does not receive property taxes. So the properties do need to be, that money is, unless there is some sort of a mechanism put in place to put it on the property tax rolls, I think initially the idea is to keep it self-sustaining so that we don't have to go to taxes. I can tell you that it also is continuing to seek non-tax alternate revenue sources to sustain the property, safety improvements, and other program objectives. This is from the minutes of the April 8th meeting, so I'll just read it because it's already been answered before. The open space funds are legally assigned for open space purposes alone. They cannot be used to put in another fund or for parks or for sports. Excuse me?
Can it be refunded
No, they cannot.
to the taxpayer?
No, they cannot, and actually, it was really a small amount. A lot of the rest of the money is from the proceed, what was left over from the bond. The rest of it is, like I said, fundraising, farm leases, rental income. But again, I will finish. Without a long-term funding source, for example, property tax, the funds will continue to be depleted until ongoing fundraising or procuring of alternate revenue sources continue. Even if grant funding for future projects were secured, most grants require the recipient to match a share of the funding. So for example, when we went for the IDNR, the OSLID grant, what it requires is you have to have money to match the grant. So it's, it might be like a 50-50 grant. So you have to come up with 50% and then the state would pay 50%. They required us to pay all the expenditures up front first. And then when we were able to, after we had an audit and proved that the money was spent correctly, then they would issue a refund for the grant amount. So if you deplete the fund completely, you will now put it, at the mercy of the taxpayers, and also there will be no future development or programming.
How much was that grant for? You just mentioned.
I want to say, I don't remember the exact amount. It was over 700,000, somewhere between 700,000 and 800,000.
How was that?
I believe the construction started probably like around 2005, 2006, and it did take a couple years to complete.
13 years ago. You have professional services in here of $25,000.
Under, what's in there?
This is in the open space.
In the open
fund?
space? Okay.
Yeah, line number,
No, that's okay. I just
745.
wanted to know which fund you were talking about.
what is that?
Well, professional services can be architects, landscape architects, engineering.
What did you spend last year?
I don't know that we did spend anything last year.
You're budgeting $10,000 for grant planning expense for the open space fund, is that?
Yes, we are budgeting that, yes.
What did you spend last year?
Well, when you keep saying, what did I spend last year, I don't have the figure in front of me, but I don't believe that we did spend anything last year because we did not apply for a grant.
You're budgeting $15,000 for prairie maintenance. These properties are farmland, aren't they rented to farmers?
No, not all of the properties are. And in fact, the Trantina Farm grant that we talked about actually has, the Department of Natural Resources actually paid us in the phase 1 of the development to restore native prairie grasses, and they do require burns and maintenance.
And that costs $15,000?
No, and these are budgets. These are budgets, what we're projecting to do.
What did you spend last year? Do you remember what you spent last year?
I don't know off the top of my head, we did do a small burn, and we actually have one in the agenda tonight to approve to do another section.
You have $10,000 going into the rental house. For repairs. You're collecting $15,000 rent.
Well, we are budgeting for the unforeseen.
Yes. You don't know what you spent last year, but you put in $10,000 this year.
Well, no, to be honest with you, when we prepared the budget, excuse me,
I hope you are.
can we keep this professional, or are we gonna have,
I'm just wondering-
snide remarks
I
in the
wanna
middle?
ask you.
No, that is not asking me, that's being nasty. I'm just gonna ask you, let's keep it with the questions with the public hearing.
Okay.
So my answer is no, off the top of my head, I do not know how much was spent. But there are things, as we all know, as property owners, where things can go wrong, furnaces can go out, things can happen. So just because we budget a certain amount doesn't mean that we fully intend to spend it. And if it's not spent, the money, that's where the $900,000 comes from. The money stays within the fund.
You got a $450,000 capital reserve.
Yes. Yes, and I believe the explanation for that is also listed on the budget. It's usually at the bottom of the budget as required.
Funds accrued for capital improvement projects. What is that? That's what it says here. What are your projects?
Let me go right to the budget. Well, some of the projects that are being proposed out of the committee and that the board has been talking about over the years. Okay, so according to the budget, under capital reserve, it says purpose, grant match / future development of remaining open space properties. The amount hoping to accumulate is $3 million, and the duration is for 10 years. That was what the capital reserve was established for and what we are allowed to do with the budget. So again, it depends on what the board approves, what the committees are working on. There are other phases of Trantina that were in the works over the years for development. Perhaps there will be other projects, other properties, and maybe a grant match, which is what we discussed earlier.
Again, you got, now moving on to the park fund, you've got professional services again, for $25,000. But since you don't know what you spent last year.
Well, I do know what we
It's on
spend
a
here.
page. If you look for on a page, it's there for the past 2 fiscal
So
years.
here's the
Well,
deal.
not the actual number.
We get a budget.
That's the expenditure.
Excuse me, I don't have my thing out, so let's stay under control. Let's stay under control. Let's be respectful to each other. We do know, the board does know how much is being spent every month. They get a budget versus actual report. You've FOIA'd them, so you've seen them before yourself, John. And the reality of it is when we do our budgets, we open it up in December for the board members, the committee members to give input onto the budget for projects that have either been approved or that the committees are planning to work on. We actually do look at our budget versus actual for every fund. I can't speak for the road district, he does his own budgets and stuff, but we do look at what the expenditures are. We also have projections of cost for projects that are proposed. It's not just a budget that is rolled over from year to year. We are looking at stuff. Does it, because we didn't spend the full amount, we lower the budget down to, nothing? Well, that wouldn't work when you're property managing. If I said, well, I didn't need to buy 6 furnaces for senior housing last year, so I'm only gonna budget for 2, and 6 furnaces go out next year, there's gonna be a problem. So budgeting is a forecast tool. It's anticipating. It's not a science. It's not exact. We're just trying to anticipate future expenditures based on what we know.
But if you look at that in December, like you said, your year end is March. So
I
how
said,
do you know-
no, I didn't say we look at it in December. I said in December, I start asking the trustees and the committee members to start giving input into the budget about possible expenditures. Yes, we don't, why do you think we're not approving the budget until June? Our year end doesn't happen until March 31st. So we wait until we can actually see, you know, our anticipated levy, what we're gonna get in our levy. We also look at, what our year end expenditures were, but we do sit down and look at all of our budget versus actual numbers when we prepare the budget. It's not zero-based budgeting, but it's very similar. We don't, in the past, my previous supervisors, when I was a trustee, they said 3%, add 3% to every budget. We don't do that.
The, park fund has capital improvements of $195,000. That's up from, I wanna say, $75,000 last year.
Yes. I have to look at, you have to look at the chart of accounts, but again, it is based on projects that were approved. Some of the park projects were approved last fall. Trustee Kalis can answer, he's the chairman of the park, one of the chairmen of the Park and Rec Committee. Those amounts are based on anticipated capital improvement projects, and actually, there's more that are coming, and we're actually trying to get these done, because as you know, we have a very limited construction season. This year, even more limited, June until what? And, the new money coming in for our tax levies comes in distributions. So I believe it's 13 payments that we received. So for example, in the park fund right now, I don't know the exact number, but we have about $200,000. We still had a balance due, on the Culver Park project. Again, fencing projects, safety netting, there's been stuff. So we have to have some ending balances and some reserves, because we're only getting the tax distributions in increments. So we still have to pay the bills and still try to meet the construction season. We won't get our full one until the weather's already too late to do projects.
But you got $80,000 in your reserve right now.
Okay,
Well, you just said you needed more money for the reserve, but you got $80,000 in the account.
are you going back to the budget, or are you actually looking at our budget versus actual?
The numbers are right here.
In the budget,
Yes.
80 gets added, so you're looking at last year's 80,000 is what we set aside to try and build up a capital reserve fund. So the 80 gets added to the 145. That's how the budget goes. So we carried over the 80 from last year, and we added the difference between 145 and 80 to increase that amount. If we didn't spend it, we may have spent the 80,000 last year. I honestly don't know. I don't know all the intricate details of all 9 of our funds. But I'd be glad to help you or answer those questions later, when I'm able to get the information to you.
On the town fund, you got $12,000 going towards youth special needs. I think that's something new. Was that on previous budget?
I believe it was. Is there any money on the 3-year, history? You're looking at what was budgeted for the last 3 years, so I'm assuming this is, for our Special Recreation Association, contributions that we make to the Special Recreation Association. I believe it was $10,000 last year and the year before, and I believe that we're projecting it to go, George?
From 10 to 12,000, I was gonna mention that. this
Okay,
evening.
George, would you like to take that then?
Yeah, no, we increased it by $2,000. There's 3 triennial payments to the 2 SRAs. And this year, they'll get $2,000 per semester for each one to equal $12,000. It still falls short a little bit of what they're actually requesting for the out-of-pocket fees, out of district fees. We're paying out of district fees for our residents with that money.
Because we don't have a park district.
Because we don't have a park district, and I was gonna address that later. Only a park district and a municipality can levy for those kind of expenditures. The township cannot, but obviously we've budgeted a small amount of money to cover the out-of-district fees for our residents, if that's helpful.
You've got public transportation services going up $25,000 to $75,000. What do you guys paying for?
Okay, so we're not transporting anything right now, however, we do pay, for the pay services in our community, and it has been a goal of this board, since the election, to try and, increase public transportation for our seniors and special needs, and so we've budgeted with that, we have some projects and some ideas, and we're hoping to have the funds to be able to do that. There was a small increase in the PACE fee as well, and so it's not all for one thing, the budget isn't. Okay. Christine?
My biggest question was, who actually applies for these grants? Do you have a grant writer?
No, we do not.
So who applies for the
The
grants?
professional services have done it in the past, and that would be a
Because
part
I've
of
only seen one grant that was on there.
the professional services, that would be covered in the professional services. We could either hire a grant writer, or sometimes we have landscape architects or engineering firms who have grant writers on staff, and incorporate it into their fee structure, as what happened with Thunder Park, that was not a grant writer. Does that answer your question?
Somewhat. I just don't believe that you, with the staff that you have, why don't you have a grant writer?
So, are you talking about the three?
But I'm talking across the board on everything.
Okay, well, let me just ask you, are you talking about the 3 office people that we have?
Yeah.
Well, they have a lot of other projects and
I'm
stuff
sure they
too,
do, but you
and they
still,
don't have the
being
capabilities.
a township, you should have someone who is knowledgeable of getting grants. Because we seem to be missing out on an awful lot. Either no one is on staff to do this in a timely fashion and apply for the grants on time, so that in fact that we would benefit from any grants available. It seems like because you're not getting any money, someone hasn't put it in on time.
Well, you're entitled to your opinion. We have applied for grants with professionals and not made them. They're highly competitive. There isn't as many grants out there as you would like to believe. And in fact, when the state of Illinois was in financial straits, a lot of the grants were called back.
Well, I don't even know why you even bother with just.
There's
the
a lot of
state
federal
Illinois.
grants.
Well, it's not just the state of Illinois. What other grants would you suggest we apply for?
The federal grants.
We have applied for federal grants, and usually the state administers the federal grants. So, for example, we do have another grant, which I forgot about. We have a representative here that we have a partnership with the Lockport Heights Sanitary District. It is a federal community development block grant, but the federal government decides who in the state or in the county administers these programs. And in this case, the Will County does administer it, but yes, we do receive grant funding with the Lockport Heights Sanitary District for that
But
grant.
that seems to be about the only grant that you're getting, other than what you said about the.
Sandra Park.
Well, you're welcome to your opinions. Okay, well, I would like to try and get through the list though, Roy, because if I start just opening up the audience, I know it's exciting, but, you know, we need to move forward to get to our regular, for the board meeting. And then I have Maureen.
Yeah, I'd like to defer my time to him.
Thank you. Roy Adcock is, one of the board members from the